What do you think about India's fighter attack jet making technological capabilities at present? We all know the horrible time overrun in developing the Tejas, but do you think India has learned her lessons from the Tejas ordeal and applied those lessons in Tejas Mark II, AMCA, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, and the twin engine deck based fighter? Also, don't you think it will be beneficial to have a large number of one or two types of planes, let's say 400 Tejas, instead of a lot of small numbers of different planes? Wouldn't it make maintenance and production cost difficult if you have to maintain large numbers of different kinds of planes? Very good question. So, yes, we know that the Tejas program, the LCA Tejas program, was delayed horribly for like, it began in the early 1980s, right? The development of the plane, and the plane was given the fighter plane was given its final operational clearance only in the 2010s. I'm not sure how many years ago it happened, maybe 5 6 years ago at most, right? So the entire process, it took more than 30 years to develop a basic fighter plane, a light combat aircraft. And the reason for this is not because our scientists are incompetent. It's because our politicians did not want this program to succeed. These politicians who were controlling the country, they were getting large amounts of. I'm not saying all politicians were doing this, but I'm sure some were. So what happened is that the specifications of the fighter jet were repeatedly changed when they were about to be to mature. So when the development, when you issue a certain set of specifications, you want the length to be this much, the width to be that much, the wingspan should be these many meters, the weight should be maximum this, and so on and so forth. When you have a set of specifications, the engineers can build a plane based on that. But at the last minute, when the plane is going to be finalized, when you change the specifications, you have to start the development from scratch again. And if this happens repeatedly, then your program will be delayed by decades. And this is not only something that's happened with the Tejas, it's also happened with the HAL Marut, a brilliant plane that was trashed by the Indian government. It was a brilliant fighter plane from the 1960s, the HAL Marut. Firstly, what they did was they gave it an underpowered jet engine, so it was never able to perform to its full potential. And secondly, they did not allow the design to be developed further and to be made more mature and give rise to a Mark II version or more uh, uh, versions or further iterations of the plane. So India could have had a whole family of fighter planes based on the HAL Marut today, but we just shut down the program. Then we started the LCA Tejas program in the 1980s, and it's only in the last 4 5 6 years that the Mark 1 version has been given its final operational clearance. I don't remember exactly which date it was. Look it up. I don't have all the data stored in my memory, but it's reasonably recent. Now, what we have is is a very good aircraft. It's a light aircraft. It's a small aircraft, but it functions very well. It's a very high quality aircraft. Don't listen to what some experts tell you. All right, there are certain experts who say it's a terrible plane, it's garbage. Please don't listen to them. Please don't. All right, everybody has some motivations and some agendas. I'm not taking any names, but there are some people who say that. Forget about them. The fact is that the LCA Tejas Mark 1 is an exceptionally good aircraft. It's not an exceptionally good aircraft, it's a very good aircraft. All right, and that serves as the foundation for future aircraft, which will have modifications and enhancements, which will give them a far better a better advantage than the what so those will be more evolved aircraft. So the Tejas Mark II is going to be a different kind of aircraft. It's going to be slightly larger than the Mark 1 plane, and it's going to have a number of improvements, a lot of improvements over the Mark 1 version of the aircraft. Then you have the AMCA, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, which will take all the lessons which our scientists and engineers learned during the process of making the LCA Tejas Mark 1, and they will not have to reinvent the wheel from scratch. They will take all of everything they learned, and they're going to be able to have this new aircraft flying within a decade or so, right? And the same goes for the twin engine deck based fighter. So once you have the experience of developing a high quality flying platform or fighter aircraft from scratch, then you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel every time you design a new aircraft. You already have what works. You know what works, you know what doesn't work. You have learned through painful trial and error what works, what doesn't work, so you can immediately apply it in the design and development of the new aircraft. So every time you make a newer iteration, a newer aircraft, you learn more and more, and it becomes easier and easier for you to build better aircraft. So I think India has learned all the lessons from the Tejas ordeal, and they will be applied. They are already being applied in the design and creation of the new aircraft. There are other aircraft also which are being developed. There is, yeah, let's not go there. All right, so that's what's happening. India has learned the lessons. We are developing a number of aircraft. Now the other question is, will it not be beneficial to have a large number of one or two types of planes instead of small numbers of lots of different kinds of planes? So today we have a number of MiG 21s, a number of MiG 29s. We have the Sukhoi 30s, we have Jaguars, and in the past we had we have the Rafales as well, and we have the LCA Tejas Mark 1, and the Mark 2 will come in. So we have a large number of different models of aircraft, right? So it complicates things. You will need to acquire lots of different spare parts from lots of different suppliers. You will have all kinds of different assembly lines, and you will have mechanics who will have to specialize in one kind of aircraft and things like that. So it complicates things. Instead of doing that, if you have 300 Sukhoi 30s, 400 Tejas aircraft Mark 1 aircraft, and 400 Tejas Mark 2 aircraft, let's say, just three types of planes, and eventually in the future, 10 years down the line, you will have let's say 300 AMCAs and 200 twin engine deck based fighters. So if you have large numbers of aircraft but only 2 3 models, it simplifies things. Yes, so it is beneficial to do it that way, especially if you are building your own aircraft in your own country. If you don't have a foreign supplier, it makes things even easier. So in the next 10 20 years, India is going to indigenize everything, and India is going to build its own fighter aircraft. There'll be a fourth generation aircraft, hopefully a fifth generation aircraft as well, and a twin engine deck based fighter for the aircraft carriers and all that. So it makes maintenance easier if you are building your aircraft yourself, and if you have fewer aircraft models. So yes, what you're saying is absolutely right. So that's the direction in which India needs to go. India needs to stop buying planes, aircraft, and other military equipment from other countries, and try to develop its own indigenous arms industry. That will be the best way to go forward in the long run, and it is going to be the thing that is the best for India's national interest.